Celebrating the release of the newest God of War game, God of War Ragnarok, and my love for the franchise, I thought this assignment was a great opportunity to make a video ranking all the God of War games I have played from last to first. The games I'll be ranking today are God of War 1, 2, 3, and 4, God of War Ragnarok, God of War Ascension, God of War Chains of Olympus, and God of War Ghost of Sparta. Due to the limited amount of time I have for this assignment, I will not be deeply going through each game, but describing why and how each game got its rank. Without any further ado, please stay tuned for my video. God of War Ascension. God of War Ascension is a great game, but I believe it didn't really expand on the franchise. It was the same hack and slash game we all knew, and I really think they could have done better on this game. This was the last game that took place under Greek mythology, and I believe there's a lot of room for improvement. The graphics are great, but I believe everything else was kind of lacking behind. This game felt rushed and unfinished. This game was released deep into the PlayStation 3's history and was basically setting upon the beginning of the God of War lore. God of War Chains of Olympus. Chains of Olympus, which was released for the PSP, has a lot of graphical dysfunctions. The PSP is a handheld released by Sony. This was an old handheld with little to no buttons, which made it hard for programmers to program games on because of its limitations and expectations to graphically inclined games on the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox. Because of this, the controls don't really feel that well, and the gameplay is not the best, but I like the story, and that's the reason why I gave it number 2 on this list. God of War. Released for the PS2, God of War was the first ever God of War game to release. It really paved the way for future gaming and set up the God of War story. The story is great and it really fits in the God of War franchise. All in all, I love this game, but the reason why it's so low on my list is because it didn't really age that well regarding its graphics and audio. God of War Ghost of Sparta. Released later into the PSP's lifespan, God of War Ghost of Sparta is a great game and really shows brotherhood. In the game, Kratos is going around trying to find his long-lost brother that he thought was killed by Zeus. As I have a little brother, I have a very big connection to this game. Aside from my biasness, I believe this game has much better controls than Chains of Olympus, which was also released for the PSP, and the graphics and story are much better. God of War 2. This game really set the God of War series on the map. Its success and popularity bring a lot of attention to the PS2 and the God of War game. Many people amount God of War 2's success to the growth of PlayStation and Sony. This game does everything right in my opinion. The story is awesome, the controls are great, and the functions and abilities are so cool. This game was released on the PS2, and for that reason, the graphics aren't the best. This is why it's so low on my list, but if this was improved or revised, I believe it would be higher on my list. God of War 4. In 2018, God of War 4 was released on the PS4, bringing to life the Norse mythology aspect of God of War. Taking place under the Norse mythology setting, this game revives on God of War's old controls and improvises them to more of a futuristic level. In this game, our protagonist Kratos and his son Andreas work together to spread Kratos' wife's ashes on the highest peak of the realm. The story is great, the controls are awesome, and the visuals just look like real life. 10 out of 10 must try. God of War 3. Aside from its graphics that lack the amount of the PS4's God of War 4's graphics, this game cannot be beat. The story, the action, and the controls is just a chef's kiss, and there's not really much you can do to describe it. The cutscenes really get you in a mood, and I just love the way Kratos is portrayed in this story. In this game, you can really see Kratos' anger and vengeance for Zeus. This game is very well done and deserves its spot on number 2 on this list. God of War Ragnarok. This game does its part as a sequel and really expands on the first entry. The look and feel of this game is immaculate, and the story just continues to get better and better each time you go through the game. The content is rich, and the controls feel better than ever. This game kept me on my feet and has great bosses which are challenging but also manageable. I am very grateful to have played this game right at release, and from what I have to say, the game is very shocking. Without spoiling the game, the characters are very lovable and a lot are introduced in the series, as well as new weapons and equipment to use while battling enemies and foes. All in all, my money was well spent and I believe everyone should have played this game by the end of the year. Thank you for watching and I hope you guys learned something today.